Boker Tov and welcome. Today we're going to talk about what the mark of a godly companion is. Our kids need friends, and so do we. My name is Ann Elliott, and I'm the creator and founder of HomeschoolingTorah.com. I'm over in our Torah portion for this week, Exodus chapter 33, verse 11, and it says that Jehovah would speak to Moses face to face as a man speaks with his friend. You know, I've had a lot of emails in the last few weeks saying, please talk about how my children can find good friends. It is so important, and yet for many of us, we've possibly left behind the denominations and churches that we grew up in, and our children have found themselves rather isolated. And so our kids have a choice to make. You know, how do I find a good friend? And if I find a person that is friendly, do I make them my friend, or do I have to be alone? That is probably the number one fear of the human heart, is to be alone. Moses was incredibly privileged here because over and over in Scripture, I looked up the word lone in the New King James Version, and I found that many of its uses were talking about Jehovah. He alone did this. He alone created the universe. He alone brought his people out. He alone stands as king. And then I got to thinking about what that must be like and how he is alone. Yes, he created the universe, but if you've ever created something, you want to show it off, don't you? Yes, he's the king over all the earth and everyone will worship him and bow down to him, but he wants companionship too, wouldn't you think? We're made in his image, and I know I would. So Jehovah spoke to Moses face to face as a man speaks with his friend. They were that close. I noticed a few other things. Down in verse 12, Moses said to Jehovah, "You have been telling me lead these people, but you've not let me know whom you'll send with me." And then here's the thing I noticed. You have said, "I know you by name, and you have found favor with me." So a good friend is someone, I think to know someone by name is to know their character. We've been doing a lot of fun personality tests online, and I love doing that for friends because it really helps me to get to know them, to really get to know who they are. And you know, your name symbolizes so much about you, especially in the Bible. So Jehovah knew Moses by name, and he says, "You have found favor with me." Jehovah found favor with him. A favor, I think it goes into what we talked about last week, when someone comes into the room and your face lights up because you just enjoy being with that person. It's a best friend. And it says, "If you are pleased with me, teach me your ways so I can know you and continue to find favor with you." It's a give and take. A friendship is not where one person talks and the other person only listens, but both of them share their heart. Both of them give what's inside. And the favor goes both ways. You know, there's just a ton. Oh, down in verse 14, Jehovah replied, "My presence will go with you, and I will give you rest." So friends do things together. Okay, but here's the problem. What if you can't find a good friend? I want to turn you over to Psalm 1, and I'm praying that if you have this problem in your home with your children where they are struggling to find good friends, that you will take the time to go through these verses with them this week. I'm going to take the time over the next few videos to talk more about this. I'm not going to pack it all into today. But it says in Psalm 1, "Blessed or happy or filled with joy is the man who does not walk in the counsel of the wicked, or stand in the way of sinners, or sit in the seat of mockers." In our home, we say this verse at Erev Shabbat before we bless the wine and the bread. And it says, "Blessed is the man who does not walk in the counsel of the wicked." So as you're choosing a friend, the number one thing that friend cannot be is wicked. I would say that the definition of wickedness is to go against the Torah. Maybe there are people in this world who are Torah observant to the best of their knowledge. I'm not saying your friends have to be perfect. I'm saying looking for friends who seek after Jehovah, who seek after righteousness, who seek after doing what is right. Not necessarily friends who are perfect and know everything, but friends who have a characteristic, you can see a pattern in their life of always going after Jehovah. When they get crooked, they get right back on the path. The opposite of that would be someone who doesn't care. Do not stand in the way of sinners. So in other words, The path that they go on, the path, of course, we know in Scripture there's a path towards Torah and there's a path that goes another way. Yeshua, his path only goes towards Torah because he is the way, the truth, and the life. The way is always a reference to the Torah. He is that Torah. We need friends who will walk in that way. Sinners are those who get off the mark. Sin is to shoot an arrow towards a target and to miss. Well, if a sinner goes in this way that has been missing the target, don't go that way. Don't even stand there where you could rub shoulders with them. Wow, we're talking some isolation here, aren't we? Do not sit in the seat of mockers. So do not sit and make yourself comfortable in the home of someone who will mock the very things that you believe in, because the next thing you know, that will be you as well. I could give you a lot of examples, but my time is almost up. So I want to point you to the next verse. Blessed is the man who does not do those things, but blessed is the man whose delight, whose fondness, whose joy is in the Torah of Jehovah. And on his Torah he meditates day and night. That's the mark of a true friend. Abraham, really, he was alone. He had to leave his father's home, his community, everything that he'd grown up with, and everything we can find from history tells us that was quite a civilization that he left. He left it all with just his wife and his nephew and his servants. But his delight was in the Torah of Jehovah. And he walked in that path. And yeah, he was alone a lot. I mean, I really don't really have good news for you if you're looking for your kids to find good friends. We might be alone a lot. But I want to take you to finish out really quick. I want to take you over to Psalm 16. You'll have to read the whole thing on your own. It says, "Keep me safe, O Elohim, O Mighty One, for in you I take refuge. I said to Jehovah, you are my master, and apart from you, I have no good thing." That's really what we have to get ourselves and our children to the point where we can say, apart from him, we have no good thing. Let's down in verse 4, the sorrows of those will increase who run after other gods. I will not do that, it says. Jehovah, down in verse 5, you have assigned me my portion and my cup. Verse 6, the boundary lines have fallen for me in pleasant places. I have received a delightful inheritance, and I will praise Jehovah. He's the one who counsels me, and even at night my heart instructs me. I have set Jehovah always before me, and because he is at my right hand, I will not be shaken. The number one friend that you need to have then, obviously, even if it means you are as alone as Abraham, as alone as Adam, as alone as Moses, as alone as Noah, if you must be alone with only your family around you, or even maybe not even them, then seek him. Make him at your right hand, your counsel, his Torah and his way, the way you walk, and have no other friend if that's what it takes. However, I do think Scripture provides for other kinds of friends and other kinds of companionships. So we're going to talk about that more tomorrow. But I want you to get with your kids and say, you know what, set your face like a rock and say, this one thing I do, if this is the only friend I ever have, then this is the way I will walk and this is the way I will go. I will not walk in the way of the wicked, or stand in the way of the sinners, or sit in the seat of the scornful. All right, I'll see you again tomorrow. We're going to continue this, and we're going to talk about how to develop more relationships with others who have those same principles, always going with that way. All right, we'll see you then.